Hello guys and welcome back. So let's move on to do more detail here. Oh, and by the way, my UI looks actually different when I reopen it. This is actually my custom UI. You can customize the UI and we can talk about that later when we're doing hard surface maybe, or garment creation. Those are more technical. So I'm gonna go for configuration and restore the standard UI. Okay. Sometimes maybe you don't like this orange color. You can change that really quickly by go to the preferences and go for the color, and you can change that to like a blue color. Just check it over here, and also the other guy also over here, so that kind of like this kind of like blue, right? You can see that. To me that feels better. It's not hurting my eye that much. Anyway, let's move on to the stuff we're doing here, right? So back here, you have one more muscle. It's called trapezius. Okay, so this is like a diamond shape from the back. It goes like this. Remember that top edge I'm talking about? This one of the clavicle. That's where this muscle connects, more or less. Okay, so you have this diamond shape muscle here. Okay. And let's smooth that out. Okay, and here you have the span goes all the way down, and the seventh span joint here is giving you a little bulge here in the middle, so you can have that here too. Okay, or a point, and it's not exactly a diamond shape because it does go down and connect and wrap around it, so it's more like this. Okay, something more like this. Okay, all right, so we can smooth it out. Okay, now I'm making those guys super subtle because I don't quite want to have them. And for a female character, this clavicle might be more visible than male. Now you can try to refine the shape. Okay, so it's kind of like from this angle, maybe it's more like this. Let me draw that out. So it's like this shape, this kind of like shape. Okay, so I can maybe carve in a little bit more over here and block it with other muscles. Okay, and again, you have other things around the body, so oftentimes you don't really want it to be that visible. I mean, the bone structure over there, you have other muscles on top. Okay, you have actually 3 strands of muscles, they're also really known like inferior spinator teres, and you have the teres minor and you have the teres major. So this and something in between, right? But again, they're not that visible in a real human because you have skin on top. You just don't see those guys that much when you're really. Oh, let me turn on the Sculptors Pro here. When you really try to see them on a real model, real character, right? So you don't worry about those guys the exact shape that much. You also pay more attention on the bigger shape, and your reference try to copy from there, right? All right, let me just make this part a little bit bigger. Okay, and this is wrapping around it, so. All right. Cool, I think I covered everything here now, unless I overlooked something. But oftentimes I try to not think about too much of about the muscle structure that I have learned, because that could easily make me dip into the detail and not think about the bigger shape. So oftentimes I go back and then just force myself to use move only, because move is going to force you to think about the bigger structure, right? And again, that's the important thing. Okay. All right. So I'm missing the belly button. I can do that real quick over here. Okay. Oftentimes I don't really try to do the nipples for female character, because you know that they're gonna wear the what's that, the bra, right? The bra will actually get that you know, soften that out, so that's pretty smooth. When you do cloud simulation on top, you don't want that nipple to sticking out, right? So you don't really need that. Okay. Can dig in a hole there and use clip it up to carve in here, right? Another concept I want to talk about is, you know, when you're doing 3D modeling, there are a lot of potential detail you can do, but you should ask yourself this question, which is, are they visible eventually, right? If you can determine that as early as possible and avoid doing those things that's not going to be visible, like this belly button, if your garment will not show that, then you don't do that, right? Because that can save you actually quite a lot of time if you really consider that. It's like doing computer programming and you save the memory, things like that. So you know, for the things you don't really want it to use, you delete their memory allocation, right? So that the performance will be better. So I think there are many ways you can save time, and time is important because, you know, if you can, that's determining your productivity, and that's determining you know, how much you can get. Right, so you want it to be able to do as efficient as possible. So try to avoid things that you don't really want it to need it to have. Like here, I didn't even mention like the muscles on the side of the rib cage, right? So those guys are called sterets natarier or whatever. They're like those kind of smaller things, right? Again, I don't mention them because unless you're doing a muscular male character, right, you don't really see those. Right? So why bother doing that? Of course, you have garment eventually later on, right? The important thing is you do your artwork, right? You express the personality of your character, and that's not going to be determined by how good those muscles are, right? So you just have a little bit of there if you wanted to, but I'm just gonna totally not trying to make that any better than that. Okay, so after that, I think we have pretty much done with the body, the torso. I can use move tool to do some more adjustment, but I think this is good enough now to move on to the leg part, and we're gonna go ahead and do that in the next video. Okay, see you next time.